Oh yeah, watch.
The judge questioned the video's authenticity. The prosecution stated it was... The prosecution revealed a CCTV video allegedly from Simon Ekpa's office, showing him on a call instructing someone in Nigeria to remove government officials from the southeastern region using force if needed. The judge questioned the video's authenticity. The prosecution stated it was analyzed by a certified forensic video expert, confirmed unaltered, and backed by a documented chain of custody. The CCTV video showed Simon Ekpa in a black suit and red tie, walking and speaking on the phone, giving controversial and potentially incriminating directives related to government personnel in Nigeria. The prosecutor declared the video irrefutable proof of Simon Ekpa's intent and involvement in actions that allegedly incited violence, calling it the most damning evidence so far. A forensic video analyst confirmed the footage was authentic, unedited, and matched metadata such as timestamps and location data to support its validity. A second witness, a telecom expert, verified that Simon Ekpa's call logs matched exactly with the CCTV footage in terms of timing and activity, strengthening the prosecution's case. Simon Ekpa personally cross-examined the telecom analyst, raising doubts about system accuracy, potential glitches, and whether someone else could have used his phone. He highlighted that the location data from the phone was only accurate to a general area, not specific enough to prove he was the one on the call in the CCTV footage. He argued that prior context given to the analyst might have biased the interpretation, and pointed out that the analyst couldn't definitively confirm Simon Ekpa made the call. After the intense cross-examinations and evidence presentation, the judge prepared to make a formal statement, indicating the hearing had reached a critical turning point. Simon Ekpa challenged the accuracy of the technological evidence, highlighting potential errors in timestamps, reliance on backup systems, and the possibility of someone else using his phone. He stressed that data could be misinterpreted and urged the court to consider the full context, not just seemingly precise information. Simon Ekpa questioned the credibility and objectivity of the prosecution's expert witness, suggesting that prior knowledge of the case may have influenced their interpretation and conclusions, and reminded the court that the evidence placed him in a general area, not at the crime scene. The presiding judge reminded the jury of the principle of presumption of innocence and emphasized their duty to evaluate all evidence critically, weigh both sides fairly, and base their verdict solely on reason and the law, not emotion, assumption, or bias. After all testimonies and arguments were heard, the judge called for a recess and instructed the defense team to present their own witnesses in the next hearing to counter the more than 9 witnesses already brought by the prosecution. Simon Ekpa was praised for his articulate self-representation, including cross-examining a Nigerian police officer and revealing inconsistencies in his testimony. His ability to challenge the prosecution's narrative without much help from his legal team was highlighted as a strong point in his favor. What happened in court today involving Simon Ekpa was nothing short of electrifying. The atmosphere inside the courtroom was tense, expectant, and at times almost breathless. People sat rigid in their seats, ears tuned sharply to every word that passed between the judge, the prosecution, and Simon Ekpa himself. Onlookers, some present as journalists, others as interested citizens, and a few as legal observers, watched closely as the proceedings unfolded in what has become one of the most controversial and high-profile legal battles in recent Nigerian judicial history. And as the layers of evidence were slowly peeled back, many in the room were left speechless, unsure of what to believe, and stunned by the depth of both the accusations and the defense. To understand how we arrived at this point today, it is important to revisit the broader context that has surrounded Simon Ekpa. For several months now, he has been at the center of a legal firestorm, accused of inciting violence, spreading destabilizing rhetoric, and allegedly orchestrating actions that threaten the sovereignty and internal security of the southeastern region of Nigeria. The prosecution claims that Simon Nyoku Ekpa, a vocal political activist who resides in Finland, used various platforms to incite violent actions and civil disobedience against government institutions in Nigeria. According to the prosecution, his actions were not merely ideological expressions or speech protected under freedom of expression, but were direct operational commands meant to trigger unrest and, as they alleged, targeted physical threats against Nigerian government personnel. Today's hearing marked a major turning point in the case. The prosecution revealed what they considered their most critical and damning piece of evidence so far: a closed-circuit television video purportedly taken from within Simon Nyoku Ekpa's personal office in Finland. In the video, Simon Nyoku Ekpa could be clearly seen wearing a formal black suit with a bright red tie. He was shown pacing slowly across a room while speaking on a mobile phone, his gestures sharp and deliberate. What made this video particularly consequential was not just the fact that he was on the phone, but what the prosecution alleged he was saying. According to the prosecuting attorney, whose voice was steady but firm as he addressed the court, the video showed Simon Nyoku Ekpa instructing someone located in Nigeria to remove certain government officials from their posts in the southeastern region. The instructions, according to the prosecutor, were explicitly coercive, suggesting that if removal could not be achieved by legal or civil means, then force should be considered as an option. The courtroom fell into a pin-drop silence as these words were spoken aloud, followed by murmurs of disbelief and shock. The idea that someone, especially someone living outside the country, could be giving such direct and dangerous instructions shook many people present. However, almost immediately, the presiding judge, an experienced jurist known for a sharp legal mind and impartial conduct, interrupted the proceedings to question the authenticity of the video evidence. In a calm but probing tone, the judge asked whether the video could be confirmed as authentic, whether it had been altered or edited in any way, and whether the proper legal protocols had been followed in obtaining and presenting it to the court. In response to these critical inquiries, the prosecution assured the court that the video had undergone a thorough forensic examination by a certified video analysis expert. They presented a detailed report from the forensic specialist who had examined the video frame by frame. According to this report, the footage was completely unaltered, authentic, and aligned perfectly with the metadata. Information such as timestamps, device ID, and even embedded geolocation data. The prosecution further insisted that a verifiable and uninterrupted chain of custody had been maintained from the moment the video was first retrieved through to its presentation in court, ensuring that it had not been tampered with at any point. As the video was played for the courtroom, some people turned their eyes away, others stared in disbelief, and a few scribbled notes feverishly. The figure on the screen, confident, assertive, and seemingly in control, was indeed unmistakably Simon Nyoku Ekpa. He was seen speaking on the phone, his hand slicing through the air for emphasis as he paced back and forth. The prosecutor claimed that this was the very moment when he issued the orders that now formed the basis of some of the gravest charges against him. But the prosecution did not stop there. They brought forward a second expert witness, a telecommunications analyst with decades of experience working with encrypted call data, location services, and mobile network triangulation. This expert testified under oath that the call logs retrieved from Simon Nyoku Ekpa's phone provider matched perfectly with the time and duration shown in the CCTV footage. According to the analyst, the records showed that a phone call was indeed made from Simon Nyoku Ekpa's registered number at precisely the same time shown on the video. The location data tied to the call, though not precise to the meter, indicated that the phone was active within the same general geographic zone as the office where the CCTV video was recorded. This convergence of digital, visual, and temporal evidence appeared, at first glance, to be a slam dunk for the prosecution. They called it a harmonized chain of truth, tying the actions, the location, and the communication all back to Simon Yoku Ekpa. The prosecuting attorney even paused to look directly at the jury and declared that this evidence was, in his words, irrefutable proof of intent, direction, and involvement in actions that aimed to destabilize a region and threaten public officials. But just as it seemed the scales of justice were tilting heavily in favor of the prosecution, Simon Yoku Ekpa stood up and did something that left many observers in awe. He chose to personally cross-examine the telecommunications expert. Representing himself in that moment with striking confidence and clarity, Simon Yoku Ekpa began a line of questioning that introduced a substantial degree of doubt into what had appeared to be rock-solid evidence. Simon Yoku Ekpa asked the analyst whether the phone system used could guarantee that he personally had made the call in question, rather than someone else using his phone. The analyst admitted that, from a technical standpoint, the system could not verify the actual person holding the phone, only that the phone number and device were active during that time. Simon Yoku Ekpa continued, probing deeper, questioning whether the location data from the phone was specific enough to conclusively prove that he had been in the room shown in the CCTV video. The analyst acknowledged that the data showed only a general vicinity, not a pinpointed indoor location. This, Simon Yoku Ekpa argued, introduced reasonable doubt. He then questioned the expert's objectivity, asking whether the analyst had received prior information about the case that might have biased his interpretation of the data. Again, the analyst acknowledged that he had reviewed the case file before analyzing the call logs. Simon Yoku Ekpa seized on this point, suggesting that preconceptions could have influenced how the analyst read the data, especially when complex technical systems were open to varying interpretations. He went on to challenge the reliability of timestamps, arguing that they might be off by seconds or even minutes due to synchronization errors in network servers or phone clocks. He asked about the reliance on backup systems in mobile data storage and how those could sometimes introduce glitches. In essence, he painted a picture of technological uncertainty that, while not completely undermining the evidence, certainly cast doubt on its absolute reliability. This strategic cross-examination did not go unnoticed. The judge leaned forward at times, clearly engaged in the line of questioning. Members of the jury looked puzzled, some nodding slightly, perhaps acknowledging the complexity and fragility of what had once seemed like unshakable evidence. The defense was visibly energized by Simon Yoku Ekpa's performance, and even the prosecution seemed momentarily thrown off balance.
Jesus abiakwala n'ọzọ una hụnụ na onye amị Jesus abiakwala n'ọzọ asịghị anything you dey do wele wayo maka onye amị anything you dey talk wele wayo maka onye amị asịghị everywhere you dey go wele wayo maka onye amị maka onye amị bụrụ onye eziokwu